welcome to the program. I'm Drenda. I'm in a 1967 Cadillac convertible. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. And you know, speaking of that, we have a lot of programs through the years that we've done. They're oldies, but they're goodies as well. Some fun interviews, great information, and as always, God's Word is relevant in any day, at any time. So I know today you're going to enjoy checking out something from our vault, an oldie but a goodie, and I believe it's going to help you today. And I'll see you in just a few minutes. Give us 10 top things that people need to know about their finances.
That's a great idea.
So I was just
preparing for fixing the money thing and just writing down some notes, but I think that would be a good topic if we can maybe dialogue on that. I think a lot of people would probably...
We need to narrow it down, because I've heard so many things about, you know, you got to do this or no, don't do that. I just think it would be great if we could simplify it.
Some of it's conflicting,
simplify it down for us.
So give us your top 10. Let us know what are the top 10 things we need to do financially.
Do you mind if I turn the cameras on? I think this might work. We might just be able to talk to some people at the same time. How's that? Okay. You girls mind?
Go ahead.
Can you guys do that? Can you guys turn the cameras on? I think they have a good idea. We'll just kind of jump in on that, and then we'll see if, if it works out for us. Well, first off, understanding finances. We have to understand it's a big topic, you know. But if you had to ask me what the #1 thing I would tell people, get out of debt. And here's the magic bullet, if you will. Here's what they don't know, is that the average family can be out of debt in 5 to 7 years, including their home mortgage, without changing their income. Now that sentence just kind of sticks.
Most people would not believe that.
Yeah.
I don't think.
You know, but your mother and I researched that. Way back we started our businesses, God spoke that to us, and we researched it and found, went through all kinds of files and clients. We found that for 86% of all the families we dealt with in our business, that was true. Wow. Incredible. Now here's what is an interesting thing. Now to make that happen, you got to find money, you got to reposition assets and move some things around. But we, one of our, our sponsor, Ford Financial Group, does a plan that actually shows people exactly where the money comes from and exactly how to be out of debt in less than 7 years. For instance, this family had a $140,000 mortgage, like 6 credit cards, 2 car loans, and the plan shows how to free up money, and we found $1,400 a month. $1,400 a month was found in their cash flow.
They already were spending that they didn't need to spend?
Just by repositioning money they didn't know they were losing, overpaying taxes, just by moving money around, $1,400 a month. And then by applying that money to their debt, they are out of debt in 6.9 years, including their mortgages, their cars, their credit cards. Now, how do you think they felt about that?
Pretty exciting.
That's pretty exciting.
They cut their 30-year mortgage, you're saying, down to 6.5 years.
Yeah, 6.9 years.
Wow.
And they were excited about that. Now, Ford Financial Group has made an arrangement with the Fixing the Money Thing program that we can do that for our guests, for our viewers. They can have this very plan done for them free of charge. If they'll just call the number on the screen, or they'll go to our website and get the number, we'll be glad to have Ford Financial Group send that out to them.
Cool.
I mean,
so that simplifies that pretty. I mean, they show you exactly what to do.
Exactly.
And that's
where the money comes
#1,
from.
get out of debt.
Get out of debt.
Get out of debt. What's #2?
#2 is similar, and that is restructure your debt. So if you were a client of mine, I would look at your debt first, and I would look at all the debt. In other words, of course, we want to pay it off quickly, but in the process of waiting for that to happen, like the 6.9 years, we can get it done faster by lowering the interest rate on the current debt structure.
Right.
So for instance, we would look at the mortgage, we would look at the consumer debt, which is always higher interest than a mortgage. We would look at car loans, credit cards, and we would see if there's a way to consolidate or refinance, bring those interest rates down.
Now, when is it really worth it to refinance?
When it saves you money.
So if you can drop your interest point by a whole point, 2 points?
There's a formula. It depends on how long you're going to stay in the house.
Okay.
Typically, you want to stay in the house over 2 years to refinance.
Okay.
But, if you consider the interest rate times your mortgage debt, so if you had a savings of 1% that you're going to save by refinancing against a $200,000 mortgage, you could then calculate how much it's going to save you.
Right.
Then take the cost of the refinancing compared to the savings. You could figure out how much time it would take to break even.
Okay.
So, but typically about year and a half to 2 years is what it takes to break even on refinance.
Okay.
So restructure the debt. What's number 3?
Well, number 3 is probably common sense. Have a cash reserve. Without a cash reserve, you are going to always have to have debt options.
Right.
Like a credit card in your pocket.
If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're going to be using credit.
Yeah, your car breaks down or something.
So how do we get this cash reserve, though? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people say, I don't have any
Easier
extra
said
money,
than
Gary.
done.
That's why I'm using debt.
Right.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because that's what we did for 30 years. We helped people find money. Most people have all the money they need, obviously, to get out of debt in 6.9 years. They already had the money. They already had the money. They just didn't know they had the money. I call it the fragment business. If you add up enough little pieces of money, it adds up to a large amount of money, and you can be out of debt very quickly. Now, where can we look? Well, the biggest loss area is taxes. No, everyone hates taxes.
Right.
Who wants to talk about taxes? Who wants to look at tax forms? But there is big money there.
But aren't
Huge.
taxes, don't they just tell you how much you owe and there's really no way to get around
Who's they?
it? The IRS?
No, the IRS does not tell you how much to pay.
Okay.
Tax professionals that do your return tell you how much it looks like you're going to owe.
Okay.
The IRS's responsibility is to dictate the laws.
Right. But aren't those pretty straightforward? I mean,
Well, straightforward's kind of a pretty, that's not really straightforward, because that's why we have H&R Block, we have all these tax companies, all these people prepare, we have TurboTax, all these companies that help
Right.
people, because it is confusing.
And there's a huge difference in what you can pay depending on who did your return, right?
Huge.
really?
Well, 50% of the time, the IRS makes mistakes themselves with themselves. In other words, they get their own advice wrong 50% of the time. Money Magazine says they guarantee the average family loses 25, at least, or 50% in overpaying their taxes.
Oh my gosh.
So
And
we
nobody
say,
catches it?
who's going to catch it? The
it's
same
just
guy
lost.
that did it? I mean, your tax
Yeah.
preparer did it. He obviously can't
You
see
need a
it.
second opinion
You
in
need
taxes.
a second opinion or a third opinion on your tax return.
Okay.
And so you have to understand how to do that. So we got to find money to get out of debt. So taxes is the biggest expense. In fact, you work until April 11th or 12th, I think it is the 12th of every year, just to pay taxes. So every dime you make goes to pay taxes. That's the biggest expense in your life, okay?
So I'm trying to fund my cash reserve. I can do that with tax.
Well, here's a simple one.
Money?
Tax refund check. 2/3 of Americans count it a victory to get a tax refund check. Let me ask you a question. How much interest did the IRS pay you on the refund?
None.
0. Would you get all excited about investing your money at a bank that advertised 0% interest?
No.
No. So what you want to do is go back to your employer and get the W-4 form. W-4 form, or the allowance form, where you fill out when you sign it. W-9 form, excuse me. The W-9 form is what it is, not W-4. W-9, and fill in the allowances, and there's a formula you go through, which then tells you how much you should have withheld. So take that money as it's repositioned back into your cash flow. In other words, you don't want a big refund check, maybe $200. So free that money up into your monthly cash flow and put that in towards your cash reserve.
Right.
Once that's established, then you'll start accelerating debt with it.
Would you set that up like in a debit or something? And it goes into an account?
You can do that.
The same money, then, so you don't spend it. You just
Yeah.
you clear it.
Well, you've
All
got to
right.
get it out of the checking account.
What
that's for
about
sure.
even you can
Yeah.
have a garage sale, get things out of the
Well,
basement,
that's my next
out of the
point, finding
cabinet.
money. How about this? $400 billion is lost in the United States. Go to every state's website. They have a file called unclaimed money. Whatever state you live in, go to your website, go to unclaimed funds. There's money, millions, billions of dollars there that people have not claimed.
From what?
Well, they move, their employer can't find them, an aunt leaves them an inheritance or something, and this money's all recorded by law. It has to be held for you in escrow. And there's $400 billion. You can start your search by missingmoney.com. It's a website that actually searches all these databases for you and tells you. And I went online myself and found that my grandpa left money that I didn't know about.
Wow.
Super.
Yeah, and how about overpaying taxes? My dad got a refund check of about $4,000 when we went online and found out that he'd overpaid his property taxes. There's money to be found by going online and checking things out. But you mentioned garages and basements are a great source of funds. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff down there.
So get that cash reserve is the main thing.
Sell it on Craigslist, get stuff out, sell stuff.
If you haven't needed it for 6 months,
and
you're probably not going to need it.
How big does this emergency cash fund, cash reserve need to be?
It needs to eventually get up to 6 months to a year, but I always tell people start with $2,000. Because they just have to start somewhere, you know.
Set of tires, it'll pay for
so it'll
whatever.
pay for a lot of things, but this can go on for a long time. But listen, when we come back, let's dig further into this and let's talk about how to find more money and find out how we can get these top 10 things listed out for you.
All these things you've been talking about have come out of your book, Fixing the Money Thing, a practical guide.
And that came out of our life, what we learned. Yes.
Right.
So when we come back, we'll talk again some more with Amy and Drenda about the top 10 financial things you need to know to start the process of getting out of debt and getting your house in order.